You're watching World Championship Wreckage, professional wrestling history the way the fans remember. Brought to you by Rivet City Radio and the World Championship Wreckage YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Today's episode.
Whoa, 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 whoa. It's season 2, baby. We're changing it up. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. It is a new year, 2024. Let's just say it's season 2, right? It's a new year. It's a new season. I am one of your hosts here on the flagship show for World Championship Wreckage. I am DadHat Wrestling. Next to me, as always, from Rivet City Radio and Bot Spots and Chair Shots, the Will Gray. And then joining us in our guest seat, you know him, you love him. He's everywhere these days. The most researched person in all of the IWC in terms of podcasting, the Ginger Ninja, Jaxpo. What's up, boys? How's it going?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Always. You know you always can do that, Bob.
I'm just happy to be here.
Me too.
It's been a minute. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
I looked back. Our last episode that we did was Halloween Havoc.
Oh, shit. So it's been over 2 months.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I work in retail. You know, it's a busy time of year. Busy.
We just went through your busiest time of year, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it starts, like, I got the prep work to staff and then go through the craziness, and now I'm on the tail end. I'm almost done. I got inventory in a couple of days, so we'll do that. Well, boys and girls, we... At the tail end of season 1, before we kind of took our hiatus and everything, we announced that we were going to shake things up and do stuff a little bit differently. Like, we're still going to talk, like, on the channel here with several different shows, you're still going to get World Championship Wrestling. You're still going to get World Championship Wrestling from us. But we want to talk about everything in pro wrestling as well. So, when we throw our polls out and everything, we are not just going to be, tied just to WCW anymore. And so, kicking off season 2, because it's Rumble season, because the 3 of us will all be in attendance at this year's Royal Rumble together, we're going to talk about the 1998 Royal Rumble. It was a big one. It was a very important one. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it really was the kickoff to the Austin era. Like, it's the start of everything with Austin and McMahon. It's the end of a while for one of the biggest stars in the history of the company for at least 4 years. And we were just saying it off air, how just good this pay-per-view was and how good of a Rumble it was. I can honestly say this is because you guys, we've talked about it in the past. Grew up as a WCW kid. This is the very first Royal Rumble I ever saw. What about you guys? Do you guys remember this? Did you guys see this live? Did you see it on a VHS? How did you guys see this one?
I watched this one live. This was, I wouldn't say the peak of my fandom, but I was 13 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I was that Henri 8th grader running around telling everybody to suck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was that kid. I was a diehard wrestling fan at 13 years old. So this was like, the Attitude Era is starting to pick up steam and take off, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm here for it. So
I hadn't flipped the channel yet. I hadn't like I didn't see this until like maybe the end of '98, like beginning of '99, and I think at this point I was just buying any wrestling VHS I could find. I was buying just to watch. So, what about you, Jax?
I watched this probably the first time I ever saw this one was a VHS tape, and because I grew up in Florida, we were WCW stronghold.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't there to flip the channel just yet. Like I was still young, so the more the flashiness that WCW became, and the more adult that WWF became, I was kind of more lean towards, hey, you should watch WCW more.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My age, I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have watched it live.
Yeah, the start to the flip for me for looking at the WWF was kind of being a teenager. My mom was like, she would watch wrestling and she would see what was going on WWF with Sable and Sunny and things like that, and this other like we're about to get into with Gold Dust and things like that, and was like, nope, you can watch WCW, you don't watch the other one. Well, I got real good at clicking that channel changer button real quick where you can flip between channels. After she said that, like as a teenager, being like, you say I can't do this? Well, I'm going to. So yeah, let's jump right into the card. I'm excited about this one. This was fun. I also think it's one of my favorite graphics. We talked about it off air. Pinhead Austin with all the nails in his head. Great visual. So the first up, and it's only a 6-match card, and that includes the Rumble. First up, we get Vader, It's Time, versus the artist formerly known as Gold Dust. Not Gold Dust. This is a different incarnation of Dustin Rhodes here as Gold Dust. Let's look at Vader first. Will, we did a whole episode on WCW Vader. What are your thoughts on Vader's WWF run? Because it is a shadow of what it should have been.
A lot of times, especially in modern wrestling, and we talked about it a ton actually with Bret Hart and stuff, with like the usage of superstars when they make these jumps. And I feel like WWE at this point was like Ricky Bobby, and they didn't know what to do with their hands. They had like a whole lot of superstar power, and they just didn't know how to handle it all. We saw some mishandling of like the Minnesota Wrecking Crew came over and, they became the Brainbusters. And it was like, sometimes you get lost in the shuffle. And I'm not saying like Arn and them were great. I'm not trying to say that. But I mean, WWE has a history of bringing in top talent and then letting them like kind of flatline, and then they'll pick up, and then they'll kind of flatline, and then they maybe get that push, and then they flatline. Like you're either in the forefront or you're not a lot of times with WWE. And I felt like Vader was that guy. He was either their go-to big superstar or he wasn't. He would be wrestling the artist formerly known as Gold Dust in the opening match of the '98 Rumble. You know what I mean?
Look at that pop, though. When he came out, that place went ballistic. Like, that crowd was behind Vader here.
If you go 10 years before this into Japan, that man was a god. Like, and it seems it's like the phrase of how the mighty have fallen, but it wasn't because of his own work. It was just the times. They were moving to a different type of wrestling. That character work wasn't the same anymore. They were moving towards that more realistic, grungy rock and roll feel versus the big, muscular, like 1980s style superstars. Yeah. I love Vader. It just, this wasn't Vader time anymore.
Yeah. No. Jax, what do you think about the artist formerly known as Gold Dust?
I want not to tie this with modern wrestling, but I want an AEW run of that, thong and all. I want a green suited, thong wearing Dustin,
blue haired,
looking like Doink the Clown a little bit. I swear he looked like Doink,
dude. Like, but that just told you how much Dustin like took what they gave him and made it work.
Like, well, they played a video package, and you see kind of like the the breakdown of Goldust, where you see him as the New
Wearing a
Year's
Christmas
Eve
tree.
baby, and you see him dressed in lingerie as Sable. Like you see this breakdown in character. It's just, I mean, it shows you again. I agree with you how good of a performer that Dustin Rhodes is. It's just, I will say, putting Luna with him, that's great. That's perfect.
Perfect.
Like Luna Vachon does not get enough love. She was great with Bam Bam back in the day. She was great here. Like she does a really, really good job of enhancing a talent that is supposed to be a little more violent, a little more off the wall. And yeah, I wish that Luna would get a little bit more love and talked about more, like in the history of women's wrestling.
No, I love Luna. She's one of those lost managers that kind of, like you said, doesn't get the love she deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was weird to me though during this entire match. Jim Ross kept calling him Blue Dust, and I'm like, that will be a thing in a few years when the Blue Meanie comes over. But I kept every time he'd do it, I just would laugh and be like, "Oh, JR is speaking into existence. He's speaking the future. He's having a conniption." But yeah, Vader wins this, which is, I mean, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, Will, about it's not the time of that character anymore. But again, this was one of those, we're gonna put him over still because he's
Vader.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're soon going to have a new champion. If we have this guy still looking strong, that's somebody that we could feed to our new champion after Mania. Doesn't happen, but next up, something that I forgot even was on mainstream pay-per-views, even in the 90s. Jax is so giddy and happy about this. He didn't even realize it was here.
Best match of the night.
We have a 6-man tag team match. The special guest, Sunny. Just a way to get Sunny on the pay-per-view. It's a tree. It's 6 men, 6 minis. We have got...
There's no right way to say it.
I mean, that's minis. I literally saw there's a place in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and it's mini wrestling. It looks like it's in a strip mall. And it kind of looks like how Pro Wrestling Tees, like their outside of their building looks in Chicago, but it says mini wrestling on there, so I'm like, I'm gonna take that. But it's Max Mini, Mosaic, and Nova, and they defeated Battalion, El Torito, and Tarantula. And it's just funny too because they play off of Sunny. Sunny's playing off as well. I mean, I don't know. For being one of the big four, this is not what I was expecting to be on the card. I forgot this match even happened. What say you, boys?
I didn't know until I went to watch it back that it actually happened. I don't remember it. This is the best thing I've ever seen, though, going back at my age.
I don't remember this at all. I remember them doing stuff like this around this time because in 01 they did the gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania and stuff, so it's not out of the ordinary for them to do stuff like this, but I agree. For them to put a gimmick match like this on one of the big four pay-per-views and pulling up the card and looking at times and stuff because I'm that nerd, they gave this match that we're talking about and the first match on the card almost the exact same amount. Judging by how close the match times were, they probably both got 15-minute segments, including entrances, promos, and exits. Mm-hmm. Everything together because they were both almost 8 minutes. And I'm like, holy crap. They gave Vader and Goldust 15 minutes, but then they turned around and gave the 6-man tornado tag match between the, I guess the micro wrestlers. Is that what we call them now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a TV show too.
To compare it again, it's also literally right at the exact same time for your World Tag Team title match that comes up later in the show. So they gave them time. They it wasn't hey, go out there for a minute, hey, and then you're gonna come back. But yeah, I mean, again, I looked at it as, hey, it's a way for you to still get Sunny out in front of the crowd. That's what it was. Because you're still Sable was on the rise at this point, but you still got your wagon tied to Sonny here. So
You book your draws, right?
yeah, and
They had to get Sonny on the card.
Yeah,
It worked.
Yeah.
She ain't on the card no more, sadly. So, but moving forward, one of my favorite, like The Rock has had a lot of good rivalries. You can argue that him and Hunter is his career rivalry. You can argue him and Austin. People don't talk about him and Shamrock, and I love him and Ken Shamrock together. The classic, chair shot to Shamrock's face, to, the King of the Ring finals later on this year, is them. It even goes into a year from now when he's world champion in the corporation and Ken Shamrock is in the corporation with them. They were great together. What did you guys think of this match? And should Ken Shamrock have been a world champion?
Definitely.
I think Ken Shamrock should have been a world champion, yes.
Yeah. Now, this match was good. The little okey doke at the end of it.
Yeah.
I love a little bit of shenanigans, though.
Yeah.
This was such a classic, heel Rock move. Because we're
clearly put on the nuts. Hey, I'm gonna put them in your tights. Very. Nobody usually if somebody pulled out nuts today, I'd laugh because
yeah. If I'm not mistaken, this is right when the Nation of Domination started to really form and become a top faction.
This is right before they the Rock. It's as the Rock and Farouk are arguing who the leader is.
Yeah.
And they kick out Farouk, and the Rock really takes over, and kind of it's okay. Right before that. But it's such a. Even though later in the same year, and the Rock will win the Deadly Games tournament, he will have won over the people by that point, and he then becomes the corporate champion. Even now, it's crazy to see what a year can do, because he's good in the ring at this point. He's good on the mic, but he is night and day different than what he is a year later, and then another year later, because he's got that charisma, he's got a few of those funny things on the mic and everything, but it doesn't seem as smooth and as at ease as he does now and what he would do later on. But because it seems like he's I'm playing wrestler with his promos beforehand.
I think that I'm going to talk on two things real quick. One, The Rock's promos here, when he got injured in the end of 96 going into 97, I believe, and he left and then came back and joined the Nation of Domination and made the heel turn. If that never happened, The Rock would have never became who he was. And being under the learning tree of Farouk and learning to talk like a champion and act like a champion and walk like a champion, you have to keep in mind that, one, The Rock was still super young here. And two, he probably a year and a half into this process, this is still baby Rock in a lot of ways. We're still 2 years from his debut, you know, so, but Ken Shamrock, what he did for The Rock, Rocky Maivia, was give him an outlet to show technical ability, because a lot of times with your Rocks and your Austins and your Shawn Michaels, and you start to get some of these big, larger-than-life characters, they're not necessarily known for good technical work. And Shamrock was the kind of guy that would, make you he would make you, catch and roll around and shoot a little bit. That's what I liked about Shamrock, because he made it look real.
Yeah. And
I think that was one of the things Shamrock did. He pulled some of the best matches out of this young Rock that we ever saw.
Yeah. Yeah. It added a level of toughness to The Rock. Triple H has said that the 2000 Royal Rumble, when he wrestled Cactus Jack in that street fight, he needed that as a character because it gave him a level of toughness. He was already a world champion, but people didn't see him as the tough guy, and that helped. And that's what Ken did here. I'm super excited. Like, I freaked out when I read that he signed a Legends contract with WWE, and I'm like, are we getting Ken Shamrock in the Hall of Fame? Like, it should
I would
be.
love to see that. Yeah.
Like, it should be. I feel like with Hunter kind of running things now, he's like, okay, my boys from when we were coming up who deserve it are going to be going in. So, yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, in a perfect world, maybe not now, but I mean, he did some good things still in Impact here in the last couple of years. But you give me a couple of years back and you give me Ken Shamrock and Brock Lesnar, would have loved it. Would have loved it.
Ken Shamrock held the 10 pounds of gold. I thought about that after you asked the winning a world title.
He did that. I meant in
WWE. But no, I was racking my brain. I was like, did he end up winning a world title anywhere, though? And he did an Impact. TNA, yeah.
He was the first technical NWA champion under the TNA banner.
Correct.
Yep.
Who did they strip it from?
Franchise Shane Douglas, right?
Dan Severn.
Dan Severn, that's right. Yeah.
And they talk about that on commentary. Like, in this match, JR's talking about how, like, in the world of mixed martial arts, Ken Shamrock is considered, like, the absolute best. Some would say Dan the Beast Severn is that. Then I'm just like, yeah. I forget about Dan the Beast Severn a lot of times.
That man had, like, every title available at one point. He held, like, an IWGP title, a UFC title, and a WWF title all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
He's like, I'm going to be the American version of Ultimo Dragon. So next up, we get I would call this the passing of the torch match. At least one of them. We get Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk versus the New Age Outlaws. And this is pre-DX Outlaws. This is still Billy and, Road Dogg wearing South Park shirts back in the day. Like, they're still the Outlaws. They're still doing stuff. But, I mean, it's them versus what many consider the best tag team in the history of professional wrestling. And I love the video package they did beforehand. It really talked about how the Outlaws have, they're younger, they're faster, they're taking advantage. Like, they're going after them physically and hurting one of them, but they're also going after them mentally by shaving Hawk's mohawk. Like, it was a good little video package. I mean, WWF always has done that. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but Road Dogg has a podcast. And early on, one of the first episodes, he talks about this match, and he talks about the program with LOD, and he talks about the program they'll do at Mania this year with Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. And he's like, those two matches don't happen, we don't happen. And it's true. I mean, those two sets of tag teams put them on the map and made them viable. I mean, look at what they were doing prior to this. Yes, the Smoking Guns was a big deal for a while, but it fizzled out. The Roadie had its run and was a good storyline, but it fizzled out. The New Age Outlaws, once they got established, they never fizzled out. They could come out today and they're going to, like, that place is going to pop and everybody's going to, follow along with what Road Dogg says and chant along with them. So, what did you guys think here of a very young New Age Outlaws?
You go first, Bo.
Okay. I like New Age Outlaws. I've always thought they were funny. They've always had that they could be serious when needed to be in the ring, but they always had like that little bit of a comedian gimmick part to them. But to see them tie up with LOD, LOD put them over.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with the whole passing of the torch moniker. You can see old tag team that's done everything, up and coming tag team that's about to do everything.
Mm-hmm. Well,
one, seeing Billy Gunn in longs, knowing what is coming up with the whole Ass Man routine and Mr. Ass and all of that, I'm like, and he still has, like, I'm literally watching it while we do it. It's on right now. the old. He still has like the old West. Like I don't know what it's called.
It's Smoking Guns gear.
It's still the Smoking Guns gear, and I'm like, this is so funny to me because I never made the connection, as ridiculous as this sounds, for these Smoking Guns and the Outlaws. Like they're both Old West references. That's what makes it funny, because it's like Road Dogg was like, he was also like an Old West character at one point too. Like, let's not forget about that. But coming together, it's like Road Dogg was that hip hop artist and Billy Gunn was the cowboy. It's the new age Outlaws. And I was like, God, it just fucking hit me. Like, but I love the New Age Outlaws. Again, I was that kid in school running around saying, suck it. I do appreciate the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, because in my opinion, they are the greatest tag team to ever do it. And they have one of the coolest and worst stories simultaneously. All the way back to the collision in Korea with Hawk almost getting arrested in a foreign country for getting in a fight with Too Cold Scorpio. Like, they have so much history and legacy there. And then to see them and the Road Dogg and Badass Billy Gunn, it's a lot of fun now because we're seeing a lot of that with like the Hardys and stuff passing the torch now to these new generations. And to look at it, and I'm like, Jesus, how old am I that I've lived through this now 2 different times?
Right. Right. It's funny though, like if you go back and look how the Outlaws were put together, they were put together by the Honky Tonk Man. And people forget about that and forget about that storyline.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion to do it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have you seen the man that's holding that title right now?
Yeah, I have. And if you can't play a guitar like the Honky Tonk Man and hold a title at the same time,
shake, rattle, and roll.
Are you really an Intercontinental Champion?
If you don't have the Intercontinental Championship belt literally engraved into your gear because it was so much of your gimmick, you're not the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
If you don't have sideburns like that, are you even the contender for that belt?
Bingo.
Came out of a Cadillac. Come on, guys.
That's true.
And I can hear with Vince, all right, you're Elvis. You're going to be Elvis. All right. So now we get into the Rumble. It's a good Rumble. It's very star-studded. So, and there's some moments, but I mean, it's not, it's not one. You look at the Rumble now, and it's definitely setting up. Every year, you're like, okay, we're waiting for those moments in the Rumble because that's going to show us what the setup for Mania is going to be for several different storylines. And back in '98, I don't see us really getting that a lot. It's just, it's about who's going to win, who's going to go to Mania. So that's it. We'll figure out the rest of Mania on the road to Mania. But we'll go through the entrance. Coming in number 1, of course, Will's one of his favorites, opening up Cactus Jack. And then right behind him, Chainsaw Charlie.
Fucking love some Terry Funk and the chicken.
Terry Funk as Chainsaw Charlie, which, Jim Ross lasts all of 5 seconds before calling him Terry Funk and not Chainsaw Charlie. Which I always love. I'm like, I love you, Jim Ross. Because, I mean, he is Terry Funk. I think that it's silly that they were like, we're going to put you in some pantyhose over your head, throw some white powder on you, and have you carry a chainsaw to the ring, and no one's going to know it's you. Yeah, right. They get to have fun for a while, and it has one of the funniest moments of the entire night. They're hitting each other over the heads with chairs or cactuses to Charlie, and then Mick just hands Charlie the chair, like, now you get to hit me. Right? It's such it's one of the things that makes Mick Foley so endearing. He's like, okay, now you bash my head in with a chair. Which it's funny to look back in hindsight because a year from now is where he does get his head at the Rumble bashed in 1,000 times.
The I Quit match.
Yeah. Great match. Still hard to watch. Up third, Tom Brady. Jax, What's your favorite Tom Brady match?
The 1998 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I think that's everybody. When this guy came out, I'm like, who?
Who?
He looked like a member of what was it, the ECW faction.
Yeah,
Italians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he had that.
I thought he was. Like when he first walked out, when I rewatched him, I'm thinking this guy's a full-blooded Italian. This isn't like that's still ECW.
Yeah. Number 4, The Rock, and you see through this entire Rumble. I mean, they're using this as a launching pad for The Rock. He's there till the final 2. And he comes in at number 4. So I mean, you're having somebody that had a full-blown championship match come in early and last till the end. I wish they would. I mean, I'm glad that they do this some now, but I feel like if they do that, it tends to be the number 1 and the number 2 spot. It's like how they did with Gunther last year. Like, okay, he's gonna make it to the end, but I'm like, it doesn't have to be number 1 or 2. You can have 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're in there for a long time. But like, I feel like lately, it's like, okay, if they're gonna have somebody like quote unquote go the distance, even if they don't win, it's 1 or 2. And I'm like, that takes away the specialty part of it. Up next, one half of the Headbangers, Mosh. What up, kitty?
There's a fucking cat.
Yeah. The Headbangers. I love the Headbangers. I'm glad they signed a Legends contract too. Like,
me too.
I love it when they're shooting Jack Daniels and getting drunk in the ring and NWA pay-per-view.
That's why they signed that Legends deal, is because they saw the pop they got at the NWA.
Yeah. Enter number 6, Phineas Godwin. Oh, the Godwins. What did you guys think of the Godwins? I mean, for being a company that is, it's very much the, you know what, we are not the South, so we're going to make fun of the South.
I love Midian.
Yeah.
The guy, if you go back and Jax, you were in the trivia chat. I said that I was watching the 98 Rumble. I literally said out loud, I said, holy shit, I forgot the Godwins existed. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like, it's one of those things where I see them and I appreciate them for being a good, like, comedy troupe, but a good, like, a good jobber tag team.
Uh-huh.
That's what they are.
That's what the Godwins were.
The Godwins could have been so much more if they had like if they would have had American badass biker gimmicks like Undertaker had, like in the 90s.
Yeah, but then you get into like who came out next was his 8-Ball from DOA. Like, this is that time of that like faction warfare. Like, there were so many different like factions and groups and tag teams, and they're all fighting each other. Los Boricuas, which we get Savio later and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, well, if they've got biker gimmicks, then we can't give the Godwins that. So I mean, but I feel you. I think that would have helped them.
Godwins are just big old dude, big corn-fed country guys, though.
Yeah. Didn't they have Hillbilly Jim with them at one point?
Fuck yeah, they did.
They did. It was like their version of the Dudley Boys, almost like the Dudley family, like just a bunch of like, built like brick shit house, red good old boys.
Yeah,
pig farmers.
Mm-hmm.
DOA, I have like no memory of. I just know that they were like a biker gimmick. Like, I just don't remember them. Like, I remember the names. I remember it being called DOA, but like that was it. Like, that was it.
Wasn't that Horace Hogan?
No.
Wasn't Horace Hogan part of that or something?
No, he just looks like him. He's tall dude, bald head. Well, unless I'm just really wrong, but I don't think it is. I think Horace Hogan's younger than this guy.
Yeah, he just looks like him.
Next up, Justin Blackjack Bradshaw. Which, at one point, your bro said Justin, and I was like, what? Who called my name? I forgot that he went by Justin, but yeah. All I'm going to say is this about Bradshaw coming out as this version. Bradshaw was thick. He came out, I was like, look at that beefy man. Like, he was, I'm like, and ready to kick some ass, which he always was. But the new Blackjacks, what? I know we're kind of past it now, at least in this day and age. But do you think it helps if you throw an old gimmick on somebody new, Will?
No, especially if they're not going to hold it up to snuff and they're not going to make it like hold up, because through this period in Bradshaw's career, they went through 2 or 3 different versions of Bradshaw before they found one that stuck. But also, look at what they did with Keith Lee and the name Bearcat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they try to do this and pay homage, and then they come up short, and then they blame it on the talent for not being able to get it over. And that's not fair. So this wasn't the move. Bradshaw eventually showed that he was able to be one of the longest reigning champions of the era, and did a great job. Now, I'm not a huge Bradshaw fan. I loved the Acolytes.
Yeah.
But his single stuff wasn't my cup of tea.
No, APA was my big
APA was great. Next up, it's 98. At this point, it's 2 months later after the Montreal Screwjob, and out comes Owen. And Owen looks rough. Like, he's definitely not clean shaven. He looks like he had a long night the night before and everything. He's rocking the black heart tights, which I loved. But he comes out, and then he gets taken out quickly by the NWA representatives of Jim Cornette and JEFF, JARRETT, who at this point is the NWA North American Champion. Well, why?
This is one of my favorite Forbidden Door moments in wrestling, guys. I wrote about this because this was a fucking phony attempt at a working relationship between an NWA that was floundering. Nobody knew what was happening with them.
No.
This is the point where Vince McMahon was looking at legitimately buying the NWA for nothing more than owning the catalog rights.
Yeah.
For what was remaining that he didn't already own.
Yeah.
And he also thought this would be the quickest way to get Jeff Jarrett in a WWE contract.
For me, it always confused me. I'm like, how is it the NWA? When doesn't WCW own the catalog and the rights to the NWA because they went from the NWA to WCW? Like, that's why it always confused me.
No, technically not, because what WCW was part of Georgia Championship Wrestling. The NWA was the managing body of everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because once WCW got bought out and Turner Broadcasting made it World Championship Wrestling, some of those other territories continued to work. WCCW kept working. This became, what was it, Continental Championship Wrestling or whatever. So a lot of those things kept rolling. So it was like WWE did WWE things and just bought up everything they could, and the rest just kept rolling.
Yeah. Entering number 10, somebody that I did not remember being here in 98. I was thinking 99, 2000, 2001. Steve Blackman, which for being a super dry character, got a lot of damn TV time. A lot. For being literally just a guy that knows martial arts, he got a lot of screen time. Jax, what do you think about Steve Blackman?
I think he's a badass. I always thought Steve Black. I always thought growing up he was a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, he looked like a Steven Seagal ripoff.
Yeah. Yep. Entering number 11, one of my personal favorites that I loved. I loved him more after he was out of the nation and everything, with the whole, like, I got to wear my chest protector, and the people saying, oh, it's padded. He can't wear a chest protector. D'Lo Brown. Like, I used to, as a kid, walk around, like, doing the head thing. I think most of us did. Like just doing it. Number 12, Kurgan. And this was pre-oddities, Kurgan. Big dude come out, growl, get thrown out by a bunch of people, growl more, and walk away. 13, Mark Marrow with Sable. And, of course, Sable's getting all the love from the crowd. Mark Marrow, just, bad return on investment, you think, guys? Like, I think Vince saw a lot of what he was doing in WCW with crap. Why am I blank on his name now?
Johnny B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad. Thank you. This is why I have Will. But they came in. It's like, you know what? We're going to take you from being Johnny B. Bad, which is, you did a great job playing a character, and now you're just going to be a boxer, and it kind of falls flat. Next up is Ken Shamrock. So of course we get Ken Shamrock and The Rock and everything in there, and then Thrasher from the other half of the Headbangers, and then in a surprise twist, number 16, second face of Foley, Mankind coming out. It was unique. It was different. It was smart and clever.
Are you
Like
telling me those two guys are the same person?
Mrs. Foley's baby boy. But this, I hope he got triple payday for this. I doubt it, but
I could see Vince being the kind of person that was like, listen, guys, what I'm going to do is I'll pay you, but you're only going to get paid for time you're in the ring. Mankind's rate, I'll pay you 3 minutes of Mankind's rate. I'll pay you 4 minutes for Nude Love, and I'll pay you 7 for Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
And total, that's what you'll pull that night.
Yeah.
Big Foley's too dumb to realize what the fuck Vince is talking about. And he's like, okay,
Yep.
sure.
I just get more TV time.
Yeah.
After Mankind, the artist formerly known as Goldust. And this is the thing. I hate that they don't do this anymore. I get it now because there's so much talent on the roster. But it used to be that if you had a match, you still were in the Rumble that night. You still, and it was the idea of, yeah, I might have the Intercontinental Championship and I might be defending that, but I still want to be in the damn Rumble. I want to win the World Championship.
Because of how important, thank you, that was. The idea of winning the Rumble and winning it all made it that important. I made a TikTok video because somebody had said the titles aren't what matter in wrestling. And I was like, the titles in wrestling are the only thing that matter.
Yeah.
Like everything they do is to win those belts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this Rumble made that very prominent. It made it feel important, like getting that shot. Stone Cold made it important to be like, this is my only chance of getting to WrestleMania. I have to win this Rumble if I want to go to Mania.
The Rock being the IC champion and still going, being the next to last one in the ring and still wanting to get to Mania. Yeah, I mean, it made so much. I mean, and we don't get that anymore. Like it's like now we got the Fatal 4-Way. We know Randy, AJ, LA Knight, they ain't showing up in that Rumble. Like that takes 3 stars right away. After Goldust, we get Jeff Jarrett come back in, which immediately brings back Owen Hart, who Jeff Jarrett took out earlier. And then we talked about him a second ago. We get the Honky Tonk Man showing up. Shake, rattling, and rolling. Followed by Ahmed Johnson. They saw a lot in Ahmed and just got nothing from him.
Injury bug, dude.
Yeah.
Just looking back at it, that man stayed injured his whole career. And it wasn't like big long-term injuries. It was just small injuries. So he would always over, but he could never stay healthy long enough to build a good, strong run. And I hate that. The Dominator, where he would do the double underhook sit-out powerbomb. Yeah. Love that finisher, dude. Loved it.
Wasn't he in Heat 2000?
He was Harlem Heat 2000. He was A-Train. No. Ice Train?
A-Train was Albert.
Yeah.
It was Tenzai.
He was A something in Harlem Heat 2000. I'm about to say, Will, Google. After that, we get a very young, very, very young Mark Henry here. Like, still super new to being on television. This is pre-sexual chocolate. This is pre-everything. Like, he is literally the big, strong man in the Nation of Domination. Next up, DOA member Skull, then Kama Mustafa, a.k.a. The Godfather. And then we get Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the whole storyline being that, he's taken out so many people that they're just waiting for him, and everyone's trying to take out him, that when his music hits, everybody stops, looks up the ramp, waiting for him. Well, he comes through the crowd, knocks out a couple people, then everybody's on him. But the only thing that was weird to me, if that's the storyline, and you guys have been building this the entire night, and apparently building it for several weeks, as soon as he's in the ring and everybody jumps him, that lasts for all of 2 seconds, and then it's just forgotten. And everybody else it's like, we must all attack, and then we disperse. It was just, I was just like, I feel like you should have let him dominate a little bit more. Like, yes, everybody's on him, but then let him just eliminate a lot more. Pull a Brock real quick and just, 14, not 14, but like, 6 or 7 people all of a sudden over the top. Next up, the other Godwin, Henry O. Godwin, then Savio Vega, then Farouk, and Farouk comes in and immediately just decks The Rock. So continuing that storyline just a little bit. Then the final face of Foley, Dude Love. And then Chains, and then drawing the number 30 spot is Vader. Will, this is, you love Foley. That is no secret. You love Mick Foley. Just talk to me a little bit about how, besides like we jokingly say about the payday, why was it so important that all 3 faces of Foley get featured here?
If you look at what all 3 have done at this point, okay? You brought up Chainsaw Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Chainsaw Charlie is feuding with him and Cactus Jack were like best friends, okay? Mm-hmm. Mankind and Terry Funk are feuding. So these are like these interchangeable stories between 2 dudes, but it's, you see what I mean? It's 2 guys, but it's 4 different people because of the alter egos and everything. That was cool about it. Then you've got the individualism of Dude Love and how he's got all his fingers are in so many kind of places at one point. And then you've got Mankind, and he's that sweet spot in the middle because you're thinking about what's about to happen. He's about to get thrown off the Hell in a Cell cage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we start building to January of 99. So you talk about The Rock's build to Deadly Games immediately, 60 days after that, from Survivor Series to the first Raw of the new year in 99. Mankind gets his world title.
Yeah.
So, like, you look at the times here, you can see it. Mankind was getting a push. This was almost like a trial run because he had done stuff with all 3 faces of Foley, and Vince was like, let's just go to a buffet and see what everybody eats the most of, and that's who will put the title on in January.
Well, even if you look at it, like in '98, after Austin wins, one of his first feuds for like the next 2 pay-per-views is Dude Love. Like,
they were tag team champions together. Yep. That was part of the feud at that time. Was Austin? That's what I'm saying with Dude Love having his fingers in so many stories. Like, he was part of so much.
Jax, what do you think about having all 3 faces of Foley in one match?
They gave Mankind his flowers early in his career because he had earned it at this point. Mm-hmm. From everything he did in WCW to FMW to ECW, like, he lived and breathed every character he personified.
No.
So I thought it was a great. We have big plans for you now. Let's see if you can run with it.
Yeah. I really think, like, if you look back at '98, everybody's like, oh, it's the year of Austin because it's the Austin McMahon feud. It's the year of Austin. It's the year of The Rock. It's the year of Mankind. Everybody's like, well, what about Hunter? 99, 2000, that's Hunter. But 98, it's those 3.
98 was DX Hunter.
Yeah.
We're coming out of Hunter. Calling him Hunter makes me feel funny. He was still, keep in mind, he got punished real fucking hard in '96 because of the curtain call.
And
so by January,
he's hobbling around on crutches.
Yeah, by January of '98 for the Rumble, like, we're only a year and some change removed from that. He's just now starting to come out of it. Sean hasn't broke his back yet. Foreshadowing. But like, Triple H is about ready to push into that main event. He could be, he has been, but he's not like that person, the game, DX, like, and then even one more step further in 2000 with the Royal Rumble against Cactus Jack, like you were saying earlier. becoming that like ass kicking badass guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at, everybody loves, like, everybody always says they love both versions of DX. Hunter and Sean in China. And then, Hunter, X-Pac, Outlaws. But you still look at that group, like, even though they were really involved with a lot of storylines, they have lots of memorable moments, like the invasion of, the Norfolk scope and everything, and invading WCW. So much stuff. That group of Triple H and China and X-Pac and the Outlaws. Unpopular opinion. They're just the top tier of the mid card. They're not main. It's a main event act as a whole, but it's top tier mid card. Like they're not. It's not like Hunter was at that point a top contender for the world title against Austin in a long feud. At that point, it gets there later on, but top tier mid card. And I hate to say that, but that's my favorite version. But I mean, to me, they're more of a main event with Sean here because he has the world title and he's got that prestige and that lineage a little bit more. Because I mean, Sean's been around how long at this point? Like I forget when he debuted in WWF, but I mean he's been there since at least 92, 91. So 6, 7, 8 years. Well, coming up next, because the Rumble is not the main event, we get The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in a casket match. And it's a damn good casket match. I only have one problem. And I probably wouldn't have put this together, but if you watch Queen's Court here on World Championship Wreckage, which if you don't, it's hilarious. I love all three of them, Bree and Husky and Mike. They are close to, like, they're watching the Raws and everything from the get-go, including the pay-per-views in between. I think the next episode is the Royal Rumble 94. And so I just watched it because I'm kind of trying to keep up with them. And there's a casket match there, and it's Yokozuna and Taker. And the same kind of finish 4 years later. It's a whole bunch of people come and jump Taker, throw him in. The only difference is the added addition of the storyline with Kane and setting them on fire in the casket at the end. And that's it.
Fuck.
What?
I'm still, and please don't ever ruin the magic for me. I don't know how Undertaker survived that.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was no blackout unless there was a trap door and he's under the ring, but, like, I don't think so. Like,
that was the most intense ending, like, I think I've, at the time, ever saw at a pay-per-view. I was like, this man's dead.
I refuse to tell a magician's secret on air. I'll just say that.
You can't tell me off here because I just want to believe that he literally is a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that fire at the end, I mean, it is insanely big. Like, I mean, first he took an axe to it, then he doused it in the lighter fluid kerosene.
And it was straight in the hole too. Like he poured inside of the hole.
Yeah, like it. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, it's going to start off small. He threw that book of matches and it engulfed everything.
They did such a good job.
Yeah, I'm sure the fire marshal's like off stage being like, "What the fuck?"
You said it was going to be a little one.
Yeah, right. But what did you guys think of this match? I mean, it's sadly what takes Shawn Michaels out of the business for 4 years. Which
what happened?
Is a great thing because he breaks his back.
Oh, this is when that happens. Then,
yeah.
This is when it happens.
Yeah. Which is funny. Like when you watch that move, it happens so fast. It doesn't. I mean, it looks like it just grazes him, but I guess it's just how hard he hits so fast.
I think it was you and I were just talking about this, Bo, the other day, because somebody took a real bad apron bump and he landed right on the corner of the ring. And I was like, it almost looks like he just kind of bounces off of it and keeps going. But the thing is, think of it like this. Like, in your car window and you want to punch your window out, they put that little pokey thing on the bottom of the key rings and you can just hit it and it shatters because it puts all that focus of your inertia into that one tiny little point, okay? That's what happened to Shawn's back. He got flung over that top rope and was supposed to hit the casket and roll into the floor. He overshot. So all of his inertia and momentum went into the corner of that beveled edge of the casket. So all of that weight was on that real fine point across the small of his back. Like that's the weird fluky thing about wrestling, man, is because could have done it 100 other times and he would have just rolled out into the floor. He hit the one time in the one spot in the one moment where it did the most damage. It's a fluke.
Your weekly science lesson from Dr. Gray here, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm a nerd.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned does it 1,000 times. Same thing can be said about D'Lo and draws. Same thing can be said about when Seth Rollins blew out his knee doing just that flip over Kane overseas, and when he had to drop the title after winning it for the first time. Like, they do these things 1,000 times and just
Austin and Owen, a pile driver, almost ended Austin's life.
Yeah,
you know,
like one time. That's it. That's it. But it's a good casket match. I always enjoyed casket matches. I think they work really well. I mean, they worked great with The Undertaker and everything, but you can just do so much with, which you wouldn't think it would be a lot, but you really can do. But I mean, this match got 20 minutes, and they did a hell of a lot with it in 20 minutes.
They're two of the greatest to ever do it. Sean's on my Mount Rushmore, and Macho Man and Undertaker are 5 and 6 on mine. You know what I mean? Like, that's three. Like, two of the people in this are two of my top 5 of all time. You know what I mean? That's 40%. Like, 20 minutes seems like nothing. I think they could have worked 60 minutes, and it probably wouldn't have been a bad match, you know? They're just two that can do that. You look at them and you go, okay, how much time do we have tonight? 30 minutes? Cool. We'll make it the best 30 minutes you've ever seen.
I'm a big fan of 98 Undertaker. We get the storyline with Kane. We get the Highway to Hell with in Madison Square Garden with Austin, which I think is still my favorite SummerSlam of all time. Like, 98 Undertaker, he was the dead man, but I don't know. It was just something different about him. It was adding a lot more of himself. So I don't know.
98 was the bridge between the dead man and the badass.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, right? That's what you're trying. That's what I think we're on the same page with how we feel about it. Undertaker
we're just not quite badass yet. It was dead man, but it had that personality of like, I can now relate to you.
This is the overlap of the Taker gimmicks. There's like a little bit of gray area where it's not like purple dead man Taker, but you're not American badass yet either. You know, This is that little gray area in between. I love Mankind so much. God bless Mason the Mutilator. He just came out.
Well, I have something new that I want to do here on Wreckage, since that is the end of it, and I'm trying to get this added, and it won't let me add. Let me see if I can screen share real quick. Hold on 1 second, boys. See if I can pull this picture up. Because I was thinking, we have Will here. And as Will says, he is a chef by trade, mark by choice. I want to get his opinion. I think I'm going to add like a food segment to Wreckage of some sort, and just get his opinion on something. So let me see.
Just for future reference to everybody on record, I have no fucking clue what's about to happen.
Like, I want to see Will cook the wrestling cookbook. That's a whole show.
That would be cool. That's actually somebody from the World Championship Wreckage, like, YouTube channel. You buy me that book, and I will give you an episode a week where I cook out of the wrestling cookbook.
All right.
I'm looking it up right now to see how much it costs.
The artist formerly known as Gold Dust with the Kane makeup. That's awesome. And he's in different gear, too. I like that he changed gear.
All right. Let me know when you guys can see me sharing.
Dude, it's $5. I might buy it Friday.
Can you guys see my screen share?
No, sir.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, so maybe
Go
it's
down
on.
to the bottom underneath where it's got the whole thing. Click add to show. Like add it to stage.
I've got share screen, video file, extra camera, and slides. I'm literally trying to show a picture.
Okay, go to share screen and then just select whatever screen your picture's in. Look at Mark Miro dancing around the ring.
Wow.
I like Johnny B. Bad better.
One is the loneliest number.
Number that you ever knew. Here it comes. Hey, look at us.
Hey, it's
Okay.
us.
You ready?
That's an infinity. Us.
All right. So, Will, and Jax, you can answer this too. How do you like your bacon?
How do I like my bacon?
1 through 6.
All I see is YouTube.
Yeah, all I see is what I see an infinity screen of us.
Okay. I will figure this out for next time. But it is literally is a picture of bacon 1 through 6, cooked different styles.
I can tell you right now, the answer is 4. Because it's going to go from almost completely raw to rendered out. And the issue is your bacon needs to have some fat content to it, but not overcooked. So it's going to be between 4 and 5 in most cases.
Gotcha.
If it's overcooked, you lose all of your fat content.
Mine's going to have to be a
Jerky.
5, add Nutella, because I love me some Nutella.
See, here's this unpod. Fuck it. I'll say it right here, guys.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
Bacon is just pork belly jerky.
That's all it is.
You
Oh my God.
literally you take pork belly, you cut it into thin strips, and you put it in your oven, and you dehydrate it by cooking and rendering all the fat out of it. Pork belly jerky. Fight me about it.
So my bacon of choice is going to be at a 2. I want floppy bacon. I want soft bacon. Like, I don't want it raw, but I don't want crunch to it.
This
You
isn't
want it
the
to
channel
be
to make
dehydrated.
inappropriate jokes. Also, if you want to get really crispy bacon without having to cook all the fat out of it, put some water in your pan.
Put some water in your pan.
Uh-huh.
You just made me think of the Saturday Night Live, like the 2 girls on the radio show, like, what they're talking about. That's good.
Who saw? This is just Jay. You feel free to keep any of this or all of this, whatever you want to do. I was on the show the other night, and just to mess with them, it was a TikTok live actually, and I would just start mumbling real quiet, just to mess with them, and they'd be like, "The fuck are you saying, Will?"
But yeah, I like my bacon like floppy. It's probably the best. That's the one. Like when I go order it at a restaurant, I'm like, can you do like not undercooked bacon, but like floppy, soft, like I never know how to properly say it, but they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like we can totally do that.
Also, true bacon is cured pork belly. Once it's cured, it's already technically cooked by definition.
Yeah.
So you could, like
I can take it out of the package and eat it.
theoretically, you could take raw bacon and eat it because it's not raw pork belly anymore. It's been cured. It's like smoking it or like aging it. Like curing it is just one of those processes that elongate the life of your meat.
Yeah.
What a weird fucking conversation Dad had.
Right, out of wrestling. I just thought I'd add some food thing in here since we've got a chef here and I'm your resident fat man who likes to eat. So, the funny thing, you're talking about meat. Jax, I wasn't on the Wolfpack this week. You want a dad joke of the week since I wasn't on Wednesday?
Yes, please.
What did the deli meat say when they left the hospital?
Delicious.
Nope. I'm cured.
They're very good.
I try. I spend my off time during the week being like, what's gonna make Jax turn the most red? Like I just hunt for jokes.
Making
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, before we get to business and we pick our first poll of 2024, let's do some shout outs and some plugging. Jax, where can they find you? What you got
Anywhere and
going on?
everywhere. Sundays for Botch Bosh and Chair Shots on Rivet City Radio, and on Tuesday for Nerdy News at 420. Wednesdays on the Wolfpack Podcast, and Saturdays for Boyfriend Time. Anywhere else, follow me on Twitter at Jaxpo2020.
Will, what's going on with Bot Spots and Share Shots? I know you had a big interview this week that you dropped. So
Interviewed one of my heroes.
It just dropped today, as a matter of fact. I'll go ahead and say it here too. I've been trying to plug it all week. If you're one of the literate types and you enjoy looking at words on screen, I found a landing spot for all of my writing. So I'm writing for Last Word on Sports again as a feature and interview writer. Dropped today. Effie gets the last word on the Big Gay Brunch. We kind of talked about the origins of it, the history of the first 7 events. We hyped up Tampa a little bit. We talked about him going through death threats and adversity and COVID and everything to get this program started and building the brand of Effie over the last 4 years. And come on, guys. I asked him what he would give Mox as a star rating for being a kisser. How do you not want to hear that?
of course you did.
Here's the question.
Well, I'm lucky enough to say that I get to spend at least, on a normal basis, 1 hour a week.
And we'll be back to that now that we're through the most of it. As soon as
I'm lucky enough that he can stand me enough to put up with me for an hour a week, and then also kind of be my therapist outside.
I've been your emotional support animal for the last quarter of the year.
You have been. That will hopefully stop now. But yeah, you find me DadHat Wrestling literally every social media there is. Follow World Championship Wreckage here on hit that like and subscribe button. Comment, help us. We're continuing to grow. Same thing on all social medias. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on X. That's my cue to wrap it up because I hear my little one crying. Either I woke him up or he woke up. So let's get down to business real quick. First poll of the year. We can talk about anything. Will, what you throwing out?
Ooh, anything?
Anything in the world of wrestling.
Anything.
Any company, any time frame.
Okay.
I feel like you've opened Pandora's box.
You did. TLC 2.
Ooh.
Not WrestleMania 17, specifically TLC 2. I want to talk about the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the build-up from the first TLC, the way those tag titles bounced around, and the match we got at WrestleMania 17, which is arguably held as some as being not only the greatest ladder match of all time, but maybe the greatest tag team match of all time.
Yeah.
TLC 2.
That's a damn good one, and I'm on board to talk about that one. I'm coming out a little spicy.
Okay.
Someone said 2024 was going to be the year of the hill run for DadHat Wrestling, and I'm going to throw out and talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. I want to talk about the deaths of Eddie Guerrero and what it meant to Chris Benoit all the way through Chris Benoit's death.
I have the weirdest boner right now. I don't care who wins because I have tons to say on that subject. I have done multiple episodes on Rivet City Radio about Mr. Guerrero and Mr. Benoit. I have tons to say on the subject.
I don't care.
So I would be fine either way.
Because I know you and I, because you and I both have the same mentality of we can separate
art
the person that's in the ring versus
two different things. Yes, I love you. That's why you're my boy, Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
Starting off hot. So TLC 2 or the relationship of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit and their untimely deaths. So
good.
All right, folks. Well, Jax, thank you for being with us. As always, you're always welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Will, we will talk again soon and record another episode here soon. And We're going to end the show like we end every show, y'all. Wise words from the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, baby, I got one more thing to say. Your gas tank is full. Your dipstick is in. Your windows washed. Y'all come back and see me again.